Most people think a spiritual attack looks dramatic, obvious, even scary, but that's not how it usually works. It's subtle, quiet, internal. You don't see it coming. You just wake up one day feeling off, disconnected, tired for no reason, and you can't explain why. And the dangerous part is this: you might be under attack right now and calling it something else. Stress, mood swings, just life. But what if it's deeper than that? What if there's actually a spiritual pattern behind what you've been feeling? In this video, I'm going to show you 4 clear signs you are spiritually under attack, and if even one of these hits you hard, you need to pay attention. 1. You suddenly lose desire for God. This is usually the first sign. Not that you hate God, not that you've walked away, but the desire you once had, it just fades. You don't feel like praying anymore. Opening your Bible feels like a chore. Things that used to move you spiritually don't hit the same, and you start telling yourself, I'll get back to it later. But later keeps moving. Listen carefully. This is not random, because when your desire for God drops suddenly, without a clear reason, something is interfering. Spiritual attacks don't always push you into obvious sin first. They disconnect you, because once the connection is weak, everything else becomes easier. You don't fight temptation the same. You don't hear conviction the same. You become vulnerable. So if you've been feeling spiritually dry for no reason, don't ignore it. That's a signal. 2. You keep falling into the same sin even when you hate it. This one frustrates a lot of people because you're not enjoying the sin. You're tired of it. You hate that you keep going back. And every time it happens, you say, this is the last time. But then it happens again and again. And slowly something dangerous starts to happen. You stop believing you can actually change. That's the real attack. Not just the sin, but the cycle. Because once you believe this is just who I am, you stop fighting with intensity, you settle. But here's the truth: when a pattern keeps repeating like that, especially when your heart is against it, there is more going on than just lack of discipline. There's pressure, there's influence, there's a pattern trying to keep you stuck, and if you don't break it intentionally, it will keep draining your confidence, your joy, and your spiritual strength. 3. You feel mentally heavy for no clear reason. This one is subtle but powerful. You wake up and everything just feels heavier. Your mind is crowded. Negative thoughts come easier. You overthink everything. You feel unmotivated, distracted, even discouraged. And nothing specific caused it. No major bad news, no obvious trigger. Just a weight you can't explain. A lot of people brush this off, but pay attention. If the heaviness is consistent, if it keeps pulling you down mentally and emotionally, and especially if it affects your spiritual life, that's not something to ignore, because one of the easiest ways to weaken someone spiritually is to overwhelm their mind. If your thoughts are constantly negative, distracted, or chaotic, you won't have the clarity or strength to focus on God. You won't feel like praying. You won't feel like doing anything meaningful. You just exist. And that's exactly the point. Or you start pulling away from the right people. This one is dangerous because it feels natural. You don't want to talk as much. You avoid certain conversations. You distance yourself from people who actually help you grow. Not because they did anything wrong, but because you just don't feel like engaging. And at the same time, you might find yourself more comfortable around people or content that doesn't challenge you. That keeps you the same. That keeps you relaxed, but stagnant. And before you realize it, you're isolated from the very voices that used to strengthen you. This is not random, because isolation makes attacks stronger. When you're alone, everything feels louder. The doubts feel louder. The temptations feel stronger. The discouragement feels heavier. But when you're around the right people, you get perspective. You get strength. You get reminded of truth. So if you've been pulling away from the people who help you grow, pay attention. That's not something to normalize. Now here's what you need to understand. Seeing these signs doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're aware. And awareness is powerful, because you can't fight what you don't recognize. But once you recognize it, you stop moving passively. You stop accepting everything you feel as normal. You become intentional again. You guard your mind. You reconnect with God even when you don't feel like it. You break patterns instead of feeding them. And most importantly, you don't stay silent about it, because silence is where these things grow. So if you saw yourself in this video, don't just scroll and move on. Take it seriously. Something is trying to pull you away, but you don't have to let it win.